Hi, Scone Mason here with a new video based on a discussion that Mrs. Scone and I had last night. It inspired a new one from me. Also, as you can see, I'm trying out a new theme song that I wrote and played on guitar, and I wanted to again thank all my new subscribers. I have about 120 now or so, 121, and I wanted to thank everyone, and as a treat I've added the new theme song. I hope you like it. If it's too stupid or too pretentious, please let me know and I won't use it again. And here's the new video. Thank you. What if the tenets, the culture, and the methods of the Catholic Church have created an environment that not only encourages and hides pedophiles, but actually creates them? A religious institution that promotes ignorance on sexual matters, concealment of sexual knowledge, denial of sex education, and the general worldview that sex for any reason other than procreation is evil, could be creating its own biggest problem. Let's look closely at the Catholic Church's views on sex. They deny sex as a pleasurable activity between consenting adults. This is borne out by their adamant opposition to birth control and abortion, two medically sound practices that allow women to control their own reproductive lives and decide what's going to happen to their own bodies without the patriarchal oppression that is institutionalized in the Catholic Church. It enforces the Church's belief that sex should never be for fun, enjoyment, or even to create intimate bonding between consenting adults who don't want children. This attitude teaches children that sex is wrong. It is bad for them to think about, and they should not explore the completely natural steps of sexual awareness, such as kissing, fondling, and masturbation, not to mention the denial of the right of homosexuals to even exist. The Catholic clergy are demanded to commit the most stringent and ascetic oath imaginable by a human being, this agreement to not have sex to show their commitment to God. There's never been a more unnatural, destructive, dishonest, and perverse oath in the history of humanity than the oath of celibacy. Asking people to deny the most natural, enjoyable, and powerful of human behaviors and demand that they psychologically flagellate themselves to control and subjugate them, while charging them with spreading the message of the Church, creates the enormous and destructive guilt that permeates the Catholic culture and makes believers terrified to speak out against the Church or to act in a natural human way toward their own sexuality. Such is the sadistic, perverted mindset of the Catholic Church's prevailing culture. To these self-flagellating degenerates, all that is natural, beautiful, and enjoyable about humanity is to be suppressed and denied, while they thrive on guilt, recrimination, and sanctimony. The perversion of the natural is further enforced by the requirement that parishioners go into a booth and confess their supposed transgressions, often just normal human behaviors such as masturbation and sexual fantasizing, to a man sworn never to partake in his own humanity, and thereby dehumanizing themselves and working to destroy their own self-esteem. Now, put into this environment one pedophile priest, 50, 100, even hundreds of years ago. He molests a group of children who go on to become molesters themselves based on the fact that those who are molested as children have a much greater chance of becoming molesters themselves, and that pedophilia is a mental disorder brought on by childhood molestation. Many of these molested children then turn to the Church for help, where they are told to confess and pray and ask God for help, all in an environment that puts the image of the Church and its clergy above the safety of the molestation victim. Because the molester was a priest, the events are kept secret from societal authorities, and molestation victims whose psychological damages make them become pedophiles in turn learn how to go about their lives without getting caught and keeping quiet. Then, the victim whose abuse makes him a pedophile eventually becomes a priest himself, knowing from his own experience that the church will protect him if and when he begins molesting, and the cycle starts again. The whole time, the former victim, now potential molester, is saying to himself, I'm a priest, and I will not molest. I have made my commitment to God and deny my urge to have sex with children, and God and the church will help me maintain this oath. I will escape from my sinful desires. Yet instead of stopping him, the church's culture of lying, deceiving, and protecting its image at the expense of sexually abused children lays out an easy path for him to indulge his repulsive urges. And due to the fact that he is already psychologically damaged, he weakens in resolve not to molest and gains confidence in his ability to molest and escape punishment. And he begins targeting children for sexual encounters. The church may find out eventually and carry out their common practice of moving that priest to a different diocese, but it just enables him to begin sexual predatory behavior anew in a fresh and uninformed environment. It is by this scenario that the church has created pedophiles, encouraged their behavior by denying it, and increased the number of victims and predators exponentially. The church in this way has become its own worst enemy and a veritable pedophile factory. All this talk of screening priests and forbidding homosexuals is just so much smoke being blown up the ass of society. For one thing, pedophilia is not limited to homosexuals. Plenty of priest abuse victims are female. Pedophilia is a destructive behavior born from destructive behavior. And the Catholic Church, in its decades and perhaps even centuries-long denial, concealment, deception, and hypocrisy, has been the primary breeding ground for the predatory priests that have operated unfettered under the authority of its own cloth. Today, even the man at the top of the church has been shown to have participated in the covering up of the systematic raping of at least 200 deaf and dumb boys. Not just one act of mind-numbing deprivation, but a culture of depravity that absolutely fucking boggles the mind. In any other institution imaginable, this man and all his priesthood would be facing trial on the scale of the Nuremberg war crimes trials, not only because of the countless cover-ups, but because of their preparation for dealing with crimes that had yet to be committed. This is made obvious by the fact that over the decades the church has known not only that these depraved activities had happened, but that they knew they would happen in the future. For many years, the church has had methods in place for dealing with pre-sexual predatory behavior before the behavior is discovered. Whenever a predatory priest is discovered, existing protocols are enacted to deal with the situation quickly and quietly. And this is the real indicator of conspiracy. This is the crime taking place. Not only did they never turn anyone over to the authorities, not only did they cover up transgressions for decades, but they accepted such behavior in the future as the cost of doing business. And they instituted procedures before the acts took place that are to be triggered by the fucking of children by priests that they expected to happen in the future. Not measures to stop it before it happened. Not measures to ensure the safety of children entrusted to church authorities. Not public outcry. No, they installed methods for moving predatory priests, silencing victims, and denying that anything bad had happened, all to protect the image of a church that at its very core, at its very top echelons, at its utmost leadership, is rotten, depraved, and dangerous.